Now, Marantz has announced its latest range of AV receivers boasting snazzy new designs and features, although not all of the range is actually released onto the market yet. But our resident object-based audio obsessive Steve Withers has managed to get his hands on the Cinema 60 to see if it delivers those all-encompassing immersive sonics while still retaining the brand's signature musicality. So, Steve, having got your hands on the Marantz 60, what's it like?
Well, very good is the short answer. It's part of their new range, which is rather counterintuitive in terms of their naming convention, because the Cinema 60 is one of the lower tier models. I would consider it to be sort of the entry level for the main AV receiver lineup. There is a model below it, the Cinema 70, but that's a very specific product. It's a slimline amplifier, which is its height is much lower than your standard receiver. And in some respects, I quite like that. It's less intimidating. It's also easier to fit into smaller spaces. But that's a kind of a niche product. So I consider the 60 to be I think the 70 is £850, but the 60 is kind of the entry point for your serious AV receiver enthusiast, and that's £1,250. Although there is a version with a DAB tuner built in. That's an extra £50, so that's £1,300. If you move up the range or down the numbers, depending on how you look at it, there's also the Cinema 50 and the Cinema 40. And the difference with those two is they all support the same audio formats, but they basically add more internal amplification. So you go from 7 channels on the 60 to 9 channels on the 50 and 40. And also, in the case of the 50, there's more internal processing, so they can actually do more speakers. So the higher up the range that you go, so you can add additional amplification and have a really immersive sound system. Having said that, the Cinema 60 has 7 channels built in, and it can do 5.1.2 in terms of object audio based formats, which basically means there's 5 channels at ear level, a subwoofer channel, and also 2 channels overhead. If you feel like you need more, as I said, you can go up the range and add more built-in channels and more channels of processing. But I think for most average UK homes, a 5.1.2 system is more than sufficient. If you're looking at doing a dedicated room, you probably might want to go up the range. And obviously, if you've got a very large room, then you will need to go up the range, because you'll need more power as well as more channels. But certainly, as an entry point, I think the Cinema 60 is a cracking AV amplifier or receiver, depending on which version you buy, whether it's the one with or without the DAB tuner. And the first thing you'll notice at looking at all these new receivers and amplifiers is that they've had a redesign. Probably about time. I would say that the Marantz was looking a little bit long in the tooth in terms of its design, but this new design is really attractive. It's got a really nice kind of two-tone look to it in terms of a textured feel to the front, as well as a matte black section. You can go for either matte black or premium silver. And I really like it. It retains the little round window that's very, very distinctive of Marantz amplifiers and receivers, so which is basically the display, although you also have on-screen displays. And I think it's minimalist, it's simple, it's classy, it looks great. They're very well built across the range. They're very well made amplifiers, and I really like that. I think the looks have certainly jumped up a level on this new range.
So in terms of watching movies with it, you've put it through its paces. When you were watching movies, what really jumped out for you in terms of the Marantz 60?
Basically, there are 2 things. One is the way that it steers sounds around the soundstage. This is something that I also find with their stablemate, Denon. They're very good at both decoding and delivering multi-channel audio, be it 5.1 or 7.1 or 5.1.2, whatever actual layout you're using, speaker layout you're using, their ability to place sounds within three-dimensional space, to move them around the room seamlessly from speaker to speaker, is exceptional. And I think that's one of the areas where they're particularly strong. So they give movies and multi-channel soundtracks a really dynamic experience, and they're really, really engaging and energetic and enjoyable. Whilst in the case of Marantz in particular, they also retain a degree of musicality, which is something that many receivers and AV amplifiers sometimes lose. They're so concentrating on delivering all those different channels that they forget about two-channel. Whereas I find that with Marantz, they still remember the two-channel. So if you like movies and you like music, then this is definitely their entire range are the kind of amplifiers or receivers you should be looking at, because you'll get that that thrilling movie experience, but that really really enjoyable musical experience as well.
Steve, thank you very much. So the Marantz 60 are very capable AVR indeed, and with more coming out in the range. So if you are looking for more, then we hope to bring you some more reviews very soon.